You know, Star Wars isn't what it used to be, and I'm not who I used to be, so what does that mean for my relationship with Star Wars? What does that mean for your relationship with Star Wars? I was thinking about this the other day, as one does when they just think about Star Wars all day long, every single day, and for the first time ever with this franchise, I had an epiphany. A moment of clarity, if you will, about how I want to move forward into the future as a Star Wars fan. And I don't know if this is going to resonate with you. I don't know if this is something that needs to be said, but it feels like, to me, it does need to be said. You guys are all wrong about Star Wars, like 97.6% of you. And let me explain why. A little bit of backstory here. I grew up with Star Wars. Star Wars was something that I absolutely loved as a kid. I would run around my living room with the Phantom Menace on, replaying the Duel of the Fates all of the time. And before I got my own lightsaber, like one of those lightsabers where you throw the color out, you know what I mean? Then you'd have to push it back in, and it always would get stuck and hurt your hand because you try to push it back in, and it would just be like, ow, God, I can't get it in. Before I got one of those, I would just use like the vacuum cleaner extension. So I'd run around my living room making lightsaber sounds that sounded like this. And times have changed, by the way. Check out this shit. But I would watch these movies, specifically The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, on repeat. I've seen these movies so many freaking times. Then I went and I saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters. It was a freaking amazing experience, and then I would watch that movie all the time. I grew up with Star Wars, and as I got a little bit older into my late teen years, I started to watch A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi all the time. And I come from a generation, a specific generation, who was growing up as the prequel trilogy movies were coming out, right? And I may have already said this, but those were my Star Wars movies. I was well aware that there was an entire generation ahead of me, a little bit older than me, that was growing up with A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, and Empire Strikes Back, and I didn't really understand discourse when I was that young, but as I got a little bit older, I came across, Red Letter Media, that YouTube channel. They were ripping apart The Phantom Menace, and that was one of the first times I'd ever seen anybody do that. Now, looking back and reading into things, apparently a lot of people were hating on the prequel trilogy as they were coming out, but to me, it was nostalgic, it was special, and so to watch a video like that and see where these guys are coming from, you're like, oh my gosh. But where I am now in life, I consider myself a critic while maintaining the fact that I still watch these Star Wars films all the time. I have a different outlook, and I can't help but see the bias that a lot of people attach to their opinions in regards to this franchise specifically, while lumping in other films into that bias, into that kind of discourse and toxicity that don't necessarily deserve to be there. For instance, I've still managed to watch Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith all the freaking times, but I can't help but feel these days that they are the weaker films out of the entire franchise, and that includes the sequel trilogy. And I don't care who hears me say this and who disagrees with me on this, because I trust myself. I trust my point of view, because again, I've watched these movies. I know that more than half of the people that talk shit about The Last Jedi online saw it one time. Me, on the other hand, I've probably seen it well over 20 times. Like, I know that movie. And that's not to say that you have to sit there like a Clockwork Orange and watch this movie 5 times over, but if you're a passionate fan, if you enjoy Star Wars and you're somebody that wants to go into it and just try to look for the beauty in these things, you might find it, and that movie may very well end up being your favorite movie, because to me, objectively, when I look at all of the Star Wars films and I go across all of them and I analyze them, The Last Jedi is just a better written film than Attack of the Clones. It's a better shot film than Attack of the Clones. I think John Williams' score is close to, if not equal to, Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. So like, what are we missing here? Is it just because you're mad at what they did with Luke Skywalker? If that's your argument, I can see that, and I can see what people are talking about in the comment section. Maybe that just hurt you, and maybe you're somebody from an older generation and Luke Skywalker is to you what Anakin Skywalker is to me. Like, that makes sense, and these characters do have a special place in my heart, but what infuriates me are these comment sections and the hive mind that people have regarding this subject of that the sequel trilogy is just trash. It's been attached to this fandom where everybody echoes the same exact thing over and over and over again. Even my sequel trilogy, I made a defense of the sequel trilogy video on my channel here like 3 years ago, and it still gets comments on it. And there was a recent comment that said, just the fact that you didn't mention George Lucas once in this says a lot about you. And that's the type of thing that I look at and I just laugh, because it's like, what do you know? You know what I mean? What do you know about American Graffiti? What do you know about the directing style of George Lucas? And what do you actually think about the prequel trilogy as it pertains to Star Wars? Like, if you look at A New Hope, it's an awesome freaking movie. Obviously, George stepped away for Empire and for Return of the Jedi, and both those movies are incredible. But when it comes to Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, this is a guy that was very passionate about his vision. He got ripped apart by critics when those movies came out because they are just lacking as movies. And I'm not going to sit here and try to argue that Rise of Skywalker is better than any three of those films, but I will sit and argue that Force Awakens is better than any three of those films, or The Last Jedi is better than any of those three films, because The Last Jedi specifically, it subverts expectations. And when you watch it and you go into it with an open mind, like you may have as a child sitting and watching Phantom Menace, you will truly be blown away, and you will truly feel things that feel like Star Wars. And then, if you put on your critic's hat and you watch that movie, you will also see that it's just a well-made movie. It's a well-performed movie. It's a well-written movie. It's a well-scored movie. It's just good. I honestly, what bothers me is I feel like people are missing out. People are missing out from some of these experiences that are so awesome. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you when a Star Wars project actually sucks. Like, if you look at my channel, I did reactions for the entirety of Acolyte, and I was completely honest throughout the entire thing. Going through it, got to episode 5, and I was like, okay, this is actually kind of dope. That was a really cool lightsaber fight. But by the time that we got to the finale, I was like, I don't like this show anymore. It was really disappointing by the end. But that's what giving these things a chance is all about. I know for a fact there are so many people out there that just never gave Acolyte a chance, and they talk a ton of shit about the Acolyte online as if they ever watched it, but they're just echoing a hive mind. They're echoing some sort of perspective that they saw on a YouTube video, probably like this. Oh my god, I've gone cross-eyed. But if that's how you want to live your life within this Star Wars community, like, what is the point of being a fan anymore, and what is the point of watching these things anymore? I could make an entire freaking video about the Rings of Power as well, because the Rings of Power, truly, season 2, it's one of the best seasons of television that I've ever freaking seen. It is so good, and I'm sad and I'm sorry for people that they're missing out. Like, people are missing out on these cool experiences. People are missing out on the sequel trilogy, especially. Like, I don't think Star Wars as a brand is in a good place right now at all, because one of the main problems that people have with the sequel trilogy is that they didn't have a plan. And right now, Dave Filoni seems to have a plan, but this isn't a proven guy. This isn't a proven director or producer that is stepping in and really taking this thing to the next level. A lot of people have doubt with Kathleen Kennedy, as well they should. They've announced projects and then axed projects, and I think that discourse just has a lot to do with that. They want to appease some section of the fandom that's maybe going to like this thing, but then the other side of it's going to hate it. And it's sad when you look at it that way, because it's like, are things ever going to get better? Or are these studios constantly just going to be trying to appease the masses, appease the mobs, and trying to make things that tiptoe around the canon, because you can't say somebody's birthday wrong, as if any person out there actually knew when Kiadi Mundi, or whatever that character's name is, whenever his birthday was. Like, stop being so pretentious. You don't need to be pretentious anymore, and you don't need to be antagonistic anymore. The joy of these things is sitting and watching them. Again, if you didn't enjoy the sequel trilogy, that's fine. Just give compelling arguments about why you didn't like it. You know, if it's a Luke Skywalker thing, if it's a Leia thing, if it's a Han Solo thing, and you really care about the canon, and you just think that that's not where Luke Skywalker's character would go, I get it, man. I get it. That sucks for you that you have to watch it like that. I think the best part about all of this is that you don't have to watch it. You don't have to watch the sequel trilogy. You can watch A New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi every single year like I do, and it's freaking amazing. But I also get to enjoy the sequel trilogy every single year, and it's a great time. I love those movies, and I have found so many beautiful things in it. And as we move forward and we get into the future, there's probably going to be a lot of creators online that end up talking about the sequel trilogy in a similar way that people right now are talking about the prequel trilogy. And I don't know how that's going to work out. I just pray that it doesn't end up doing the same exact thing that the prequel trilogy people have done to the sequel trilogy people, because all of us don't need to be in these divided factions. And that was the point of me making this video. I'm done. I'm done trying to be like, yeah, the sequel trilogy was, in conversations trying to be like hesitant about bringing it up because it might offend somebody if I say I like The Last Jedi. I like The Last Jedi. I do. I love that movie. I love The Force Awakens. It is so freaking good. But I don't love Solo so much. I don't love Rogue One so much. I think it's a good movie. I think Andor did a ton for Rogue One. But I no longer want to try to appease anybody with my freaking Star Wars opinion, because it's Star Wars. It's a fictional universe that we all just care about. We all like lightsabers. Personally, hearing about these new movies coming out, Mandalorian and Grogu and the Starfighter movie or whatever with Ryan Gosling, it sounds cool. I don't see a lot of lightsabers. That's what I love about these movies. And there's a reason why the lightsaber that I have looks the way that it does, because Kylo Ren has worked his way up into being my favorite Star Wars character. I love Adam Driver. I love the performance that he brought to those sequel trilogy movies. And so as a 30-something-year-old guy, that's the one that I chose, man. Like, I almost chose Rey's. Like, I think Rey is a great character. Daisy Ridley was a phenomenal actress. Like, there's just no denying it for me. There really isn't. Again, I think Rise of Skywalker, there's a lot that you can say about that movie. There's also a lot that you can say about the structure of the sequel trilogy. But when you watch each of these movies individually, and then when you watch them a zillion times like I have, they actually do flow together very, very well. It's not a train wreck. It's actually a really weird thing when you watch those movies and then you try to watch a prequel trilogy movie and you grew up with them and you know you love them, but you're like, man, these are not that good. Like, Revenge of the Sith is so great. And that seems like and feels like the movie that George Lucas really was just trying to get to. And he told that last like 45 minutes to an hour so well. The making of Darth Vader. That is beautiful. That's an awesome thing in Star Wars lore, in Star Wars history. But the rest of it is just kind of fluff. And now, guess what? He decided to sell Star Wars. Like, he's not coming home. You know what I mean? Like, he left on the business trip and he never came home. Like, George Lucas is gone. Maybe they hire him as a director someday. Honestly, I kind of hope not. But if you really, really like those Star Wars movies, again, do what I do and watch them all the time, but don't criticize other people for enjoying other Star Wars, because this is Star Wars now. Kylo Ren is a character in Star Wars that you're going to have to hear about. Poe Dameron is a character in Star Wars you're gonna have to hear about. Ahsoka is a character in Star Wars you're going to have to hear about. This is the future that they're moving into, so if you hate the fact that they might do a Rey movie, understand that other people might enjoy that. So don't ruin other people's experience. Nobody ruined that experience for me when I was a child and I was watching the prequel trilogy. That discourse that was happening above me in the older generations, that didn't reach down to the younger generations. Nowadays it does. Things have changed. We have the internet, we have social media, we have these younger generations coming up on that. And so if you're somebody that's in my generation, be courteous. Let other people enjoy themselves and make up their own mind. And if you're part of a younger generation, don't just go with what somebody else is telling you their opinion is. Don't just follow that opinion blindly and say, okay, apparently the sequel trilogy sucks, so I don't like that. I like what XYZ YouTuber is telling me, and I'm just going to echo the same sentiment in every single comment section across the broad, vast internet, the vast universe of the internet. That's not cool. And my homework here for you, just as a fellow Star Wars fan, if you don't like the sequel trilogy, but you've only seen each of the movies one time, or maybe you haven't even seen one of them, go watch all three of them in a row. Just do it. Try to remain objective and see what you think of those movies while not attaching it to anything else. You know what I mean? Just check out and watch the sequel trilogy. I want to know genuinely what you think of them. And so in closing, I hope that I got my point across here. The reason why I'm making this video is because I do have a YouTube channel. I do like to express myself, and I like sharing this type of stuff because maybe it'll resonate with one of you out there. Maybe my words will resonate with somebody else that is trying to survive in this crazy Star Wars fandom, because it can be a bit much, and you might end up getting to a point where you just kind of break free from it and you say whatever. That's where I'm at, and I would truly love to hear your opinion about all this. More than anything though, my friends, I hope you're out there keeping up the good vibes, all right? I will see you in the next video. Peace!